Hello everybody, my name is Makenzi Van Dellen and today I will be talking about my boarding aid. So first I want to start off with talking about my story. I have always loved being around the water and being with my family. This is my dad right here. Being with my cousins and grandparents as well. But as I grew up, I also noticed that my grandparents were getting a little bit older and the next generation of little kids were coming in. I wasn't the little kid anymore. And while it was all fun, there was still a lot of stress. Just because we had to pay so much attention to all of the little kids running around, making sure they had their life jackets on, and that they were being safe around the water. This was a really big thing. And also with my grandparents, as they got a little bit older, we had to pay more attention to them because they weren't able to move as well as they could before. But they still wanted to be a part of their kids' and grandkids' lives and enjoy the hobbies that they enjoyed. So along with owning many different boats throughout my life, there was also a lot of maintenance that had to be done to be able to make things flow smoothly. And a lot of these ways is through boat accessories to assist with the fun and safety of it. So this is really what prompted this project. So to begin, I want to look at my overall brief, which is to develop an innovative boat accessory that caters to a diverse range of users, including children, senior adults, and everyone in between. This accessory aims to facilitate safe movement between different floating surfaces, providing support for individuals who may feel unsteady but still enjoy their time on the water. Additionally, it will be designed to prevent objects from falling overboard and to mitigate the risk of oil spills. So now, looking at this, I want to take a deeper dive into each person individually. I first want to look at this elderly woman who, as she walks up to her boat, she wants to be able to sit on it by herself. But she walks up, she realizes that she's not able to get on it herself. She looks around to see if anyone is there to help, but there's nobody there, so she has to sit and wait for one of her kids to come and get her to help her onto the boat. Same with this little kid. This little kid has his life jacket on, but he also has a lot of energy when it comes to the next activities that he'll be moving on to. So he gets really excited. He runs up to the boat. His parents are yelling at him, telling him to slow down. He tries to jump into the boat himself. He misses the boat and he falls into the water, but thankfully he has his life jacket on to help him. So after looking at these two people and deciding who I wanted to focus on, I wanted to dive into a little bit of research on my project. So still thinking about that young kid, I want to note that it only takes 2 inches of water for people to drown. And this is especially something that we should pay attention to in little kids. I also want to say, like that little kid in the slide before, it is important to wear a life jacket until the age 13 on boats. And so it's good that he had his life jacket on in there so nothing could happen. It also only takes 20 to 60 seconds for somebody to drown. About 3,400 people die every single year from drowning in the U.S., which is an average of 10 people per day. And like I said earlier, it is so important to pay attention to the younger ages, especially ages 1 to 4. They have the highest risk of drowning. And when you can see in this graph is that ages under 1, it usually happens in a bathtub. Ages 1 through 4 in a swimming pool. Ages 5 through 13, it becomes a little more balanced between swimming pools and natural water. And then 14 through 17 is mostly natural water deaths occur. And anything over this, a lot of the times, a lot of deaths due to drowning are also caused by drinking and people being unstable in those scenarios as well. And I also want to say that when it comes to natural water in lakes, about 75% of oil spills are due to recreational boaters filling up their gas on the water and doing different maintenance on the water. So after I had looked at all of those statistics, I wanted to look into elderly people a little bit more. And to understand that, I looked at a lot of different forums. I looked at forums from family members, grandparents, elderly, nieces and nephews, etc., everybody. I just wanted to be able to understand their struggles. And a lot of the questions that were asked in these forums is, how old is too old to start? I'm retired now, but I still want to be able to start this new hobby. Am I too old? Or I'm getting to the age where I have a hard time getting from the dock to the cockpit. What are some products that other people have used? So taking those into consideration, that's what really prompted my project, and that's how I want to narrow down my brief now, which is to design a boat accessory that assists users for various needs and can be attached to a variety of boats. So, looking again at my personas, I want to focus on two individual people, Eleanor Whitman, an elderly woman, and Charlie Benson, a little kid. First, looking at Eleanor Whitman, some of her pain points is that she has reduced mobility, she needs stability in an unstable space, and she does not want to rely on others for help. So a lot of the things that she needs in a product is a lightweight accessory and something adaptable for all different types of boats. So she can take it from one grandkid's boat to her boat to anywhere else she'd like to use this product. And also, along with that, she wants something that is easy to install so she can do it by herself. She can still feel like she has the independence to do it as well. And also something that is durable, weather resistant, and has non-slip materials so it's safe for her. Next, I want to look at Charlie Benson, who's a child. A lot of his points include that he is limited size. He's a smaller size, so he has limited coordination, and he always needs help from his dad or another family member to get him on and off of a boat. And along with this, there's a lot of excitement and eagerness that he has while boarding or exiting the boat to move on to the next activity. So something he needs is a product that is adjustable for him and works for his height, and also materials that don't hurt his soft hands or feet. So after focusing on these people and their struggles, I looked into different guidelines that I could use for my product. The first guideline was to assist people of all ages and abilities in boarding a boat. Secondly, preventing spills like oil or other personal belongings from getting into the water. And thirdly, aid in emergency situations for police, Coast Guard, or other medical responders. So now I want to look more into the specifics of a boat. There are a lot of different parts of the boat, but the three that I will be talking about a lot during this project is these three right here. The hull, which is the side of the boat, the cockpit, which is inside the boat, and then the gunnel, which is the step that most people take to get into the boat. So now I want to go into how different boats compare. When I was doing this, I wanted to be able to have my product be used for a diverse range of boats, but I really had to look at how they were built to be able to understand them. So I looked at pontoons, yachts, fishing, speedboats, center consoles, sailboats, and other small craft. First, looking at pontoons and yachts, they're more built for elderly, and because of this, they have a lot flatter surfaces on them because of the size they're able to, and so it creates more stability while on the water. And in this as well, there's also assistance and railings already built into it too, where fishing, speedboats, and center consoles, they don't have as much assistance or railings because they're mostly used for a younger demographic. So there's not as much support there. But I also want to say that it's not always necessary to be wearing a life vest while using these. While in sailboats and other small craft, it is necessary to be wearing a life vest. And just because there's very minimal features, safety features on those. So after thinking about all these different types, I kind of chunked them up into how they work together and how similar they are. But I really wanted to focus on these two categories, pontoons and yachts, and then fishing, speedboats, and center consoles. Just because of the way that the boats were built, I felt like I could use this for my product. So now looking at existing solutions. This first solution here is done on a yacht. It is just a board that kind of folds down for people to be able to walk and get on and off the boat from. It gets them closer to the dock or closer to another boat if they want to hop between those. And then you can just put it up when you're not using it. Same with this second solution here. This is already built into a boat. It's a door that opens and closes, again getting you closer to a dock when you want to hop off of the boat. And thirdly, this last solution is probably one of my favorites. I really liked the product because it's something that you can easily just take and move to and from different boats. And also, it's just easy because you stick it into the cup holder and it's used as a step to help you get on and off. And I really like this just because of the idea that you didn't have to use any screws and it wouldn't be something that is stuck in place. So after that, I had looked at different touch points and where big areas of entry are. This top arrow here, the top two arrows, are where most people enter and exit a boat from. Usually if they're going from a dock to the boat, that's where they'll go from. Same with if they move from a boat to a boat, that's usually where they go in between two. The front arrow here is where a lot of people enter from if they're coming from a beach, or if they're filling up their boat with gas, they'll be working around there. And so I wanted to think about that curve when I was making my product. If I wanted my product to be used on any side of the boat and in any place of the boat, I had to consider that curve there as well. As I was looking at that, I also looked at how I enter and exit a boat. This is me making a makeshift boat because I wasn't able to have access to a real one at this point. I just made it out of foam, and then I made a seat and then a dock out of pieces of cardboard and a box that I found. I really wanted to study how I enter and exit this, just so I could figure out how to create my project. Along with this, thinking about products that are out but don't have anything to do with boating. This first product I looked at was just something that helps guide people moving up and down the stairs. I really liked how it was able to work with a ton of different people from a very young age to an old age, and I tried to implement some of these design ideas into my own design. Second, I looked at an above ground pool and how people get into the pool. It kind of makes the same motion of people getting into a boat as well, with this up and over. Now I want to look a little bit at products that are close to boating and have to do with boating and how I can use those in mine. I first looked at how different types of poles connect. I looked at how fishing poles connect to the gunnel of a boat and how ski poles also connect there as well. But I didn't like these ideas just because of how you have to screw them into place. Same with this phone holder right here. It was Velcroed on, and that was something that I really liked the idea of, but it was hard for me to be able to use just because it couldn't hold as much weight as I wanted it to. I liked the idea of a suction on the hull of the boat. It could work for a variety of different boats, but what I really liked was this product right here. This product, especially this small circle piece right here, I liked the idea of how it can clamp into place and how it can be adjusted for many different types of boats. So this really moved me forward into my sketching. I did a lot of different sketches, but I really wanted to focus on these sketches right here. I wanted to think about how the product opens and then closes as well. As you can see, this is the product being closed, and then slowly you can see it open. The bottom piece right there would be a clamp that goes to the side of the boat, and then it'd open up to be a full arm to be able to be used as a rail. So now I want to get into a little bit of my process. I did a lot of quick mock-ups to think about the function and how it would attach to the gunnel of the boat, and also what the sizing would be for the product as well. And after I looked at that and figured out dimensions for everything, I got into SolidWorks, and I was able to build out my product to be able to be 3D printed. And after I 3D printed it, I was able to take it back and adjust some of the mechanics to be able to make my final product, which is this. In this product, there is a push-release screw to open the product and stop it at either a 90-degree angle or a 45-degree angle, depending on how you want to use it, and to keep the product from falling forward or behind. There are two screws that act as a clamp at the bottom. This is to attach the product to a boat, and there's a cushion underneath it as well so you don't scratch the boat, or it can be able to work around the curve of a boat. All of these products at the bottom are made out of polished steel just because they are able to hold up against all different weather environments, and then also in salt water and fresh water as well. Here is a guide that is also made out of polished steel. This guide keeps the product in place and from falling forward or falling behind. And the covering is done in polyurethane foam on the rest of the product. that gives it a little bit of cushion so that if people were to fall and hit this product in any way, they won't get hurt. Here is the product opened up and then closed as well. And here are the different colorways. I wanted to explore different colorways, wanting to feel like this product belongs on a boat. When I looked into other boat accessories, there were a lot of boat accessories that had very bright colors that were very out there, and so I kind of wanted to mimic those, but also create some fun ones like this light blue and this tan. Here's the product being used by an adult and also a young kid. On the left here, the young kid is holding the boat close to him with this product, and on the right, the old man is using it to get onto the boat. Here, a family is using it. This kid is running up to it, and as you can see, it dips down far enough for him to be able to grab onto it. Here, it's being used in another context environment. On the left, it's being used as a rail between two different boats, and on the right, it's actually being able to be used as something that holds these two boats together. It's dipping into the inside so the one boat doesn't float away. So now I just want to finally recap all of my deliverables. The first one I touched on was to assist people of all ages and abilities in boarding a boat, to avoid spills like oil or personal belongings from getting into the water, and finally to aid in emergency situations for police, Coast Guard, or other medical responders. Perfect, thank you.